Yeah, you know, the thing is that the eye training is so interesting because it really falls into so much of what we deal with as a community, where we have an idea that doesn't fit the classic mold of the medical system. And
Right.
we know we can do things and get results that don't fit convention. And when you stand on the mountaintops and sing it out loud, all you get is a backlash and a pushback. And I can see exactly the same happening in the world of vision. And it's kind of, so you have a narrative. You know, like, I like to think I'm pretty good at challenging almost anything. And I actually can't believe on something as significant and important as my eyes, my actual, what I put on my eyes every day, that I hadn't considered that it wasn't the whole story. And
Yes. Yeah.
it's kind of what always comes up for me is that there are two things that are going to make you get out of your chair right now. And the one is that I offer you something so enticing that it draws you out. But the one that's going to get you up quicker is the rusty nail sticking in your butt. That's the discomfort. So discomfort creates
Yes.
change and makes us ask questions. And frig, I'm like a textbook on this. I got an uncomfortable thing from my optometrist going, yeah, this is progressive. This is normal. You're getting old. And every red flag in my world came up. You know, it's like, I'm a child. Children do not get old. You know, like Peter Pan, you don't grow up.
That's right.
And so when someone actually says, yeah, sorry, dude, it's a sign. And only then did I actually do something and take action.
Yes. So you needed that. That's with me. Like I saw your email and I'm like, it didn't occur to me. Like my vision has slowly over the, like my prescription strength has gone up every other year since I started wearing contacts. And I was telling you, I was driving the other day. I was looking at the license plate of the car in front of me, and I had to squint to see the letters. And then the first thing was, oh, I need to increase prescription. But then I called your email that said, hey, listen, optometrist told me that my vision's going to continue to get worse until the day I die. And I rejected that, and now I'm going to fix it. It's the same for everything that our community talks about. And it's interesting because I really got into this, in the summer, where I've really enjoyed running. I had an enrollment in my foot. I kept going to the doctor and they're like, oh, you're just going to have to get injections for the rest of your life. And it wasn't until I was already doing activation, it wasn't until something triggered me to not accept that and realize that there are things that I can do within my own physiology to correct this just from the movement alone. And that has worked. But things went up, right? My shoulder's bothering me. But now with the shoulder, it's like, okay, when did this originate? And what is it within your breathing and your physiology that's causing this to be quick? And I'm working on it. And it was so funny because it was without a doubt 2 weeks ago, a intense, stressful situation threw my body out, and my shoulder's the one that keeps, chirping at me to say, hey, listen, take control. Okay. I'm going to continue to ache until you take control. And it's a process. We're still working on it. And then the fact that it's still kind of bugging me means I haven't taken complete control yet. So it's, just that awareness has been more than helpful. And
the big part is the control is of you. It's not of the situation. It's not of the other person. It's all of you, because nothing else is controllable.
It doesn't need control. And in fact, it's like,
it doesn't need control.
Certain things in my environment Some days it bothers me, other days it doesn't. And it's the same thing in the environment. So what has changed? Me, not the environment. It's me that's changed. I'm in a good mood. It's because I have taken ownership over my physiology. And if I'm in a bad mood, I have lost control over my physiology. So that's the life in a nutshell, right?
But in that realization, you realize that, you know, the way I like to look at things is like when something happens and someone gets offended. Well, I'm offended, and they have this whole big story. My standard line is, being offended is a choice. You have chosen to be offended, and then you're going to load it with a whole lot of reasons why you have chosen to be offended. Being offended isn't an automatic response. It's a choice, as is so much else. And I think because we don't realize, this is actually quite a big thing, because we don't realize that it is a choice. When we have a world like we live in right now, with so much lack of certainty and so much stuff of other people making decisions, we forget that actually I get to choose how I feel right here and right now in every moment of the day. So actually I've got so much control. And if the balance is between certainty and uncertainty, and I can choose how I feel, then I probably don't have a problem. And I'm thinking out loud now, but this is kind of fascinating. You get to choose what you feel. You know,
being offended isn't even the choice. The choice was you losing awareness of your physiology. That's where the choice was made. And now being offended, if you're offended, that's your indication that you have lost control. So if you recognize some of these negative emotions, these negative experiences, that is your wake-up call. And that you don't like that, you don't agree with it. Well, where do you change? Do you force a different attitude, or can you take it back to where the real control lies, which is your awareness and your physiology? If you can control that part, the other things won't matter. You won't be offended. Situations won't bother you. But we are in such a heightened environment right now. It's almost like we're at the threshold of a massive awakening, right? Where people are like, this is where I could.
It's a breakdown or it's a breakthrough, and
right.
Both of those technically are revolutions. And the problem with a revolution is, by definition, it's a violent process.
Yeah.
So hopefully it happens inside ourselves, and it's a violent breakthrough to a consciousness or an awareness or a connecting. It doesn't have to be violent against each other.
Here's the biggest challenge with it is, from moment to moment, I can choose my physiological state. Okay. And when we are busy, we have things we've got to do, we have goals we want to accomplish. When we get too far away from being centered is when we get too deep into the other side. And when we're too deep into the other side,
you step out of yourself.
That's right.
And then you lose yourself.
I am so busy on this. The truth is, if we kept it so simple and only focused on physiology, the other stuff really actually takes care of itself. And you and I were texting, I think it was last week, and it was about, I think both of us kind of go through some lows and highs. And we were talking about, being in a low state and just kind of feeling either low energy or negative emotions or whatever we wanted to assign to it. It was really, after we had come off a high of things were working well, we were feeling great, and then it felt like we dropped down. But how I kind of envisioned that scenario was, we got to this high, and then basically, instead of dropping down to a low spot, we actually got to a new level of awareness, and we realized that there was even more opportunity to grow. And we're like, I made it all the way to this part. Now I feel like shit. But it's not because I dropped down. It is because I'm looking up at the next peak. Yeah, it's like
in the back seat. Are we there yet? No. no.
Yeah, and you're like, oh,
this
I
is
thought we were there.
With greater awareness actually comes greater responsibility, and because you can see more, and so your challenges change. It's like some business program that I was taking part in. They were saying, I've got more money. It doesn't mean your problems disappear. Your problems become different. They become bigger in certain areas and smaller in others. But you get different problems. Problems don't go away. Whatever you've solved, as you knock this domino over, the next dominoes wait, and it's kind of, this is the beautiful thing. But if you don't know the game you're playing, if you don't know that this is what's going on, you do get drawn out, you do get pulled out. And
yes,
it's the thing is that I think this is always what I want people to know from what we think. And it's I think the thing that my difficulty with having such an online presence was, my initial thing was, geez, how do you stay upbeat all the time? How do you always show people your best side? Well, you don't, actually, is the answer. And a lot of people have figured out how to do this. And they are not people that I'd even be interested in having a conversation with, because everything they share is perfect, rosy, and lovely. And I don't care. I want real people. And real people have tough times, and real people have awesome times. And somewhere in between, there's a magic place where we can, like, I hit a dip, and you can say, hey, I recognize that dip. This is what I did. Maybe it'll help you. But if you go, oh, shit, I've never done a dip in my life. My life's perfect. Then sorry, you can't help nobody. And you're delusional.
Well, and what's funny is you and I will text, and I can't even sneak around being in a bad mood when I'm talking to you through text. So you'll call me out on it, and I'll be like, yes, it's just not working out today. What do we got to do? And it just even getting caught on it changes my mood instantly. It kind of wakes me up a bit.
But do you know why? And there's a real simple thing here, and it is really simple, is when we go off in those bad places, we go alone. And then so when someone calls us on something, you suddenly realize you're not alone. And it's really hard. It's really hard to be pissed off and helpless and a victim when someone's going, hey, buddy, what are you doing? I'm here with you. Oh, I can't be a victim because you're standing with me. Shit.
That's right. Where do I go from here?
It's like, and
it's the truth.
You're in choice.
Yeah.
I'm going to ignore his message.
That's cool how that works.
Yeah.
The other thing is with, with our community, knowing like what everybody is aware of is the ability for us to heal through physiology, right? Yeah. And how we're able to reconnect everything and reset and get back on track. But we still lose sight of this ability. Like, we'll go down a path for however long, and even practitioners, we deal with aches, pains, asthma, cancer, anything, everything. And we have the training and understanding on how and what we need to do to correct this, yet we still go off these paths on our own. And that's why, like, I know you and I've talked about the power of the community page on Facebook and interaction and engagement. But you know what I don't see on it? Like, I see a lot of practitioners asking about their clients. Hey, I've got a client who's dealing with this and dealing with that. I don't see anybody, and maybe I just missed it, like, hey, I'm going some stuff here. What would we recommend? Because think about it, like, we feel alone. We try to solve it ourselves. We get so lost down a different path, and we don't recognize all we need to do is just kind of come back to center. Like, if we have others know how this works, how can we then leverage that community for, we can't help anybody else until we help ourselves first. Once we're good, then it makes it so much easier to work with clients, we can become clear. What do you think about having community
I would
use each
say
other?
that, you know, within the Facebook group, because it's so large, it's a community where people are sharing and bringing stuff, but to bring your stuff is often vulnerable. So what
That's right.
What I would say would be ideal is if people recognize those people that they already know, that they've met on workshops, that they have a relationship with, where they already have a trust. Because the thing is, if I'm feeling really shitty, and then I'm going to go and be vulnerable and put a thing out to 2,000 people, no matter how lovely some of them are, someone is going to write something that's not what I want to hear. That's not going to be supportive. That's going to be so far out there. And it's their right to do that. It's not saying it's wrong.
We've even experienced that on our emails, right?
Yeah. But the thing is, if I'm in that place, I'm probably not that receptive to all of that. What I'm looking for is like what we always say is, when we do the right thing with the body, it responds immediately. We're actually looking for that one piece of information, that one thing that right in this moment meets me where I'm at, allows me to recognize where I'm at, and then choose to do it differently. And that's actually what we're doing in the body. Every time we touch, we meet the tissue, we let it recognize where it's at. The body and the neural system goes, oh, holy crap, I didn't know I was doing that. Now it has a choice to do something different. It doesn't always. So just like when someone said, dude, you're really behaving a bit like a dick. And you go, well, screw it. I'm going to keep doing it. Well, you chose to stay in the pattern. And if that's, then awesome. Be responsible for that behavior. Sweet. Or you go, oh, geez, you're right. I actually don't want to be doing this. And you change behavior. It's always a choice. Right. And the body gets to choose too. And sometimes you want to stay in a behavior or a way because actually the payoff is it's serving you. Somehow stomping your feet around the house is serving you. And some, you know, so just like the neural pathway goes, yeah, but if I do this, then I'm going to have to give up that. And so there's not enough rusty nail making you get up and change, or there's not enough incentive. And so we're playing with that tug of war of trying to get the one pushing, the other pulling, and you know, I think that's the whole thing. Is I'm not even sure if I put it on Dropbox, but it's about, you know, we can't always be motivated. Was the thing. We can't always be motivated, which is why we need to fall back on discipline. You know, because on those days when you lack the motivation, as long as you're committed and disciplined to do what you said you would do, then it's okay. You can have an unmotivated day and still get the job done.
See, that's perfect, because when you think about making certain things a habit, I do a lot of my work online and through e-commerce, and for me, automation is the key to success in my work environment. So, and it's no different from my personal environment. The things that I have to do that I can automate, meaning I wake up at a certain time every day, I exercise a certain time every day. There's like, I activate a certain time every day. And then there's times that like I need to do it, and it's kind of outside my automation times. You know, that's when it gets challenging. So where I already know that I'm going to do my activation before my workout in the morning, and I do it right before bed, but there's times when I get thrown off my automation and I need to become aware quicker. So like, that's kind of been my new thing, is like, how do I snap out of, you know,
Pavlov.
Of course.
Pavlov is your answer.
Pavlok.
Pavlok. It's a little device you put on your wrist. You set what you want to do, and when you don't do it, it shocks the hell out of you. It'll teach you quick. I'm going to be ordering one.
Yes, shock therapy is the answer. Yeah.
Shock therapy.
But it's almost like, I'm sure there's devices now like with these Apple Watches that say, oh, your heart rate is high, or you've been holding your breath, your breathing patterns are off. Like there's technology out there that is available, kind of like you said, that, a lot of times I get so far down a certain path, and then, haven't been breathing right, or,
yeah, but remember
up straight, or
Tim, if every time you deviated from the path you've chosen and a device reminded you to stay on the path, where are you ever going to learn to build the muscle of self-control, discipline, self-management? Because you're handing all of those things to a system that's going to help you. And eventually what happens is you lose those abilities, because, and it's kind of like when I first started teaching, I'd go and teach up in Joburg, and Joburg has no landmarks. It's a big city with buildings, but no landmarks, which means that I had my GPS on my BlackBerry, but I learned, like it wasn't good in those days. So I learned, look at a map, and then I got my orientation. And then the GPS comes along. And as the GPS got better and better, I didn't need to look out for landmarks, because the GPS was telling me what to do, until it stops working, until it actually gets something wrong. It's actually tied in with another story, of a friend of mine that the last time I saw him, had a heart rate monitor on, and his wife said he never takes it off. And he goes, look, Doug, I can change my readings. I was like, dude, when you can tell me what your heart's doing without your monitor, then I'm interested. And unfortunately, he had an aneurysm and he died. And how this story goes is, when I flew up to his funeral, I was late because the GPS took me somewhere else, and I had no orientation left to find my way, because there was a setting that was wrong in the Garmin GPS that I had hired. And so it took me to the destination before whoever the person used the thing before, they didn't reset it. So it took me to that destination, and I arrived late. And that's kind of hard.
Interesting.
And so if I'd never got so dependent on the GPS, I would have gone, okay, pull out a map, look around, and I would have been 15 minutes late. I'd lost my orientation. I'd lost my reference point. So one of the challenges of all the technology is awesome. I love it. You and I have discussed, I've got just stuff. I have stuff. When I've had to get myself off all the websites where all the crowdfunding and new ideas, because I'm buying all that stuff. Because that looks cool, and most of the time, quite honestly, for anyone who thinks it's a good idea, most of the time it's crap. It sounds good, it's well marketed, and when you get it, it's actually crap. So you use it once and it goes on the shelf. But every now and again, there's some very cool stuff, but all of those things can replace your natural ability to do it yourself. So as long as you understand that, you can make sure that you are still connecting with yourself. That how do I feel? Let me check my Apple Watch. I don't want anyone to do that. I have an app that when somebody's speaking, it'll actually tell you the tone and how they're feeling. And I always find it quite funny, because I've used it a couple of times, and it's been, it's getting better and better. But it's kind of like, shit. Someone developed that because they didn't know how to read people.
Yes.
So they needed the technology. Now, imagine everyone went, hang on, don't speak just yet. I just want to. So, how do you feel? And you're going, oh, I feel great. No, you don't. You're feeling this. No, I'm feeling great. Let me tell you why. No, you're not feeling great. You're feeling shit. It says you're feeling shit. It says you're depressed. You're in denial and argumentative. No, I'm arguing with you because what you're telling me is wrong. And this is the wonder of, the GPSs say turn left and you can go, but I've got to go that way. And it says, no.
Well, I mean, this is a perfect example, kind of going all the way back, kind of brings it all together, all the way back. Why would you get a increased prescription on your contact lenses when you can just figure out how to do it within, right? So like, why get a piece of technology that tells you that you're off track when you can figure out how to do it without it? And it works better, and it always works. I
think that I'll have to say we are lazy motherfuckers.
We are lazy.
So we get seduced by someone offering us an easier solution. We get seduced. I'm amazed by people's inability to do hard work, and that's all of us, and me. I used to work much harder. I was, and I want to bring up there's a particular young lady who Sue's daughter Emily. Sorry, Emily, I'm going to talk about you. She when we were doing the Parkinson's study had organized a whole lot of stuff, doing all the filming. And one of the mornings I had to do the filming because she, even before I got up, was already up out in the stables shoveling shit. Not even at the stables where their horses are at, but somewhere else where she works. So for 3 hours, she was literally in shoveling shit. And to me, that's the most honorable, amazing thing that I can ever imagine, is someone willing to do the work. Not hey, right. I'm going to sit in my bed and control the auto shit scooper. I hope the horses don't mind, because that's what we'd all do. Oh, wow, there's a way, so I don't have to do this. But you know what? The value that you get, the growth and the knowledge of yourself that comes in doing the hard work, it's huge. And I think that's our challenge. Is technology is amazing, but it's very seductive because it's constantly giving us easier and better ways to do things. But we have to balance out, what do we gain from this? And there's often a huge amount, but there's always something we're going to lose, something we're going to give up, some skill that we're going to lose inside. It's like when you were a kid, you knew your home number, your best friend's number, your next, you had about 20 phone numbers in your head. Right now, you probably know your own phone number, and if we're lucky, your wife's number. And actually, if you're lucky, your wife's number.
That's right.
What other numbers do you know?
I know my old home phone number and my friend's phone number from back. Yeah, but that doesn't even exist anymore. My mom's home phone number.
But I don't need to know that.
Wow. Well, I think this is perfect, because you talk about what I think we constantly do is we make calculations as to the reward that is received. So if we can't clearly see what the reward is, we want to put forth the least amount of effort to accomplish it, or like me, automate it, right? So because I can't see the reward. Now, if we knew that the reward for going out and doing hard work was whatever it is, versus finding ways to shortcut it and automate it, then without a doubt, we would choose this one, the hard work. But we don't know it, and it's a mystery always. And it's like, the reward isn't in the payoff. The reward is in the benefit that you get from learning about yourself.
And what comes up for me is, and if I take two footballers, not American football, but soccer football, so Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, both of them have been players of the year over and over and over. And between them, they competed. And I don't know recently, but both of them, people look at and are inspired by. But both of them work harder than anybody else. Work harder than anybody else. You know, it's actually I've got an interesting thing. So I was at the Tour de France in 2008-ish, I think. And the team that I was there with, one of their Spanish riders was taking drugs, illegal stuff. And when we got back to the hotel, it was amazing. There were like 20 police in riot gear around the hotel, and 20 that had gone in and literally going floor by floor by floor, blocking off, because they know, because in France, if you're cheating at the Tour de France, it's a national insult.
That's right.
But this dude realized that this is the chance he was willing to take. His problem was he's just really stupid. When they opened his suitcase, all the stuff was there. It wasn't even hidden. It was obvious. But it started a conversation with, why do people take these enhancements and take the risk? And the standard answer that people seem to think is, oh, it makes you stronger. And the answer is no, it doesn't. It lets you train harder. Therefore, you get more training benefit that increases your performance. So it's quite interesting. Those who are cheating also have to train harder at a higher intensity, and then they get the benefit. It's not like, hey, I've done the same as you and I was really crap. Now I'm going to inject myself and now I'm going to be better than you. That's not how it works. It allows them to train harder. And for me, that was one of those, oh, okay, that's interesting. So it's not like it's not a shortcut. It's not let's reduce the time. It's let's increase the intensity. So we can
gives me the ability to work harder
and get the benefit. Yeah. It's like, so that kind of messes with my, like I found it harder to judge the guy because it's almost like, let's say his team goes and trains for 8 hours. He almost has to go and train for 10 to get the full benefit. Or he has to, when their intensity level is 70%, he's pushing at 80 in order to get the benefit on race day. And it's like,
that's awesome.
And at no point am I saying I agree with the stuff, or I'm not actually either saying that I disagree with the stuff, just out of interest. It's just
a perspective. Yeah.
It's interesting when we look at how I'll say how I defined what it was, why it's cheating. Well, because you have to do less. It's like, I'm going to take this magic thing and I'm going to be better than you. No, doesn't work that way. And so it's a fascinating thing, because we really get caught up in when someone stands on the finish line and goes, woohoo, and all we see is this finish line and the outcome. Mm-hmm. And we don't really ever look at the struggle and the hard work. And the thing is that whenever you've been inspired by somebody's story, it's when you discover that the hard work was hard work, that the lows were really low, that they were shitty places where they were ready to give up, they were desperate and alone. I have a swimmer that I worked with who ended up having Olympic gold, who reached a point where he had no money left. So in order to keep doing what he truly loved, he had to sell his car. That's all he had left. But that little window that bought him was enough to then get the next get a sponsor and get taken care of. And everyone goes, wow, wasn't he lucky? No. He committed, he sacrificed, he worked hard, and he earned the right to be sponsored, to be successful. And you have to earn it.
It'd be interesting to know if he knew or was banking on the reward. To sell your car, the last possession he probably had. Yeah. I would even venture to say that he he wasn't even entirely sure that the sponsors would come. He just knew that's what he had to do to continue.
No,
Like,
well, the interesting thing is that how many people that did the same as him, who sold the car and didn't make it.
Right.
There are many of those too, but hopefully those are still the people who then kept persevering and discovered that maybe it wasn't in that area. Like maybe you chose wrong. Maybe, hey, I'm going to go do this. And I'm so passionate, but the reality is I'd be better at this. You know, there's no shame in that. The shame is when you stop. It's when you give up, when you stop trying. That's the only time there's shame. And the thing is that I think that's, you know, I'm back to the world, but I'm seeing a lot of that because of this exhaustion. So people are in this exhausted, overwhelmed state, giving up more easily. You know, like they're losing their resilience because it's this like long, extended thing, and it's very easy to get caught up in that because, you know, like we're lucky. We've I say lucky, but you know, we've just gone from a level 3 lockdown to a level 1. So a lot more is open. Not everything, you know, it's our borders are open again now. These are good things. But it doesn't mean that the thing is, as people are coming out, they're starting to notice the devastation. You know, you go in a shopping center and you notice that there are 10 shops that have been there for the last 20 years that are no longer there. You know, towns, tourist towns where 50% of the restaurants are closed. Like closed as in gone. And then you start to notice, and it's like, whoa, you know, and so it's that hardship is there, and it's the you know, like we've lost our resilience in a business sense, like, which is unfortunate. Because sometimes circumstances, nothing you can do. You did everything right. You know, that's what I've worked with enough athletes where we go, actually, you know what, dude, you did everything right. It just really wasn't your day. The circumstances changed, the game changed, the rules changed. You did everything. What else could you have done? And if you and sometimes if that acceptance of that allows you to get up and go, okay, but there's next time. And for some people, it takes 50 next times until they do something that works.
That's right.
So it's and I think that's that balance between the motivation and the discipline. The motivation, if you can be 70% of the time you're motivated, geez, you're ahead of 90% of the population. But what about the days of the 30%? Well, then you have to be disciplined. Those are the days where you have to do it even when you don't feel like it.
Right. That's awesome, man.
We are so serious. I love it. You know, I think the simple thing is that no matter where you find yourself, if you like it, embrace it and love it. And if you don't like it, take a step back and go, I wonder what I could do differently. I wonder what limiting belief, what limiting idea, what question I haven't asked. And I like that. That's why I'm really, if we're going back to the vision thing, that's me. Like I literally was sitting going, I can't believe in all this time I haven't actually asked this question. It's like I'm the irritating kid who never stops asking questions. And here with something so significant, so important, you know, like the guys who, when we were at Pete's place in Milwaukee, we did 4 days, and we did 4 days, and on day 3.5, so 4th day, the sun came up, like, so in his gym, and the sun just came up through the glass pane right in my eyes, that at the angle triggered my memory of my head-on collision, because it was like the headlights at the same angle. I was a friggin' mess. I like, and you just unravel. So I would think that, you know, and they got to watch me, almost go, guys, I'm just going to tell you, I may not be able to continue. I'm a friggin' mess, and I just shared with them what I was going through, and I literally was talking them through what I was doing to bring myself back from, a head-on collision, and tracking into a memory that I'd never seen. I'd always seen the steering wheel and the dashboard smashing my head and all that, but I'd never seen the headlights. And that sun gave me the headlights. It was like,
interesting.
But I'm thinking now, it's like, should I not have gone, wow, Doug, there's some work to do beyond what you're already doing around your eyes, because there's more in there. But I didn't, and I can give you 100 reasons why I didn't, but the answer is, the simple thing is, I didn't. And I think that's why I'm so excited now to learn from someone who has a different perspective and a different way of assessing, and that allows me to go, holy crap, there's this huge gap, and I want to learn. I want to get better. And some of my tests actually were quite shocking. Like when he got me reading, so like a computer with a camera on each side, and then I'm reading the text, and they're 10 words. They're not clear sentences. And these two cameras are tracking my eyes. So I had to synchronize, and literally they're seeing what my eyes are doing as I'm reading. And basically they should. So he put 2 circles when he gave me the report, and the 2 circles are meant to be over each other because your eyes are focusing in the same place and reading. Da, 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 shink, ding, 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 ding. And mine kind of started like, and somewhere like a third of the way down the page, this one just stopped. Till my left eye, let's say, just stopped, and this one kept reading. And then my left eye went, oh crap. And then and did all these weird things. Crazy. And they weren't together, and they weren't synchronizing, they weren't beautiful. And it's like, until I did that test, I had no knowledge. I couldn't visually understand what I wasn't doing right. And then you go, well, why wouldn't you? And perhaps, too strong a lens, the eyes are tightening because you're compensating for it. And the other big thing, which is really important, so for anyone who judges me on the fact that I want to go drive 1,800 kilometers to go surfing, I actually wasn't going surfing. I was giving my eyes the opportunity to relax in the distance. So there, because that's what your eyes need. With all this close stuff we're all doing, we need to spend more time doing long looking, long gazing. And that's what I get when I drive and go looking for surf. I love my driving as much as I love my surfing. And it's always a joke. Like, what are the 2 passions? Well, driving, looking for surf. Well, those are 2 things, Doug. But they're the same thing, because I live in Cape Town. But yeah, when I go on a holiday and like and the hotel's on the beach, it's not the same. I'm not getting the long distance stuff. And surfing, you're looking at the horizon, trying to anticipate where the waves are coming, because you want to position yourself better than everybody else. So you're always adjusting your eyes, and it's moving, and it's this constant environment that's asking your eyes and your balance and coordination to find each other. And then you take that away, and then all this close staring at computers, then we lose our range and our resilience in our eyes. And the entire
what was the percentage you said? What was the percentage you said of
58%.
People with the 58%?
58% of people in a study of 4,500 people reported visual breakdowns that have happened in the last year. And this is across the full age spectrum. These are teenagers. This is it's not like in the good old days, when you hit 40, things start to change, or maybe this is massively impacting. And so again, the normal thing would be, it's the screens, it's too much screen time. And the answer is yes, but maybe not. Maybe that's only a small part of the answer. Maybe it's too much close and not enough distance and not enough balance out. So if you're going to have this, you need to have that. And if you don't have that, then this is going to become a problem. And so I'll give you the analogy. I was trying to explain it to my mom, actually. And so I said, so imagine it's like your bicep. And imagine I hold like this, and you go, cool. So there's my close vision. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to keep it there. And so for 2 hours, I keep it there. And then I go, oh, awesome. Okay, I'm off my screen now. Let me look far. And arm goes, oh, geez, that's quite stiff. But then I walk back in and I go to here. Another 2 hours, another 4 hours. Eventually I'm going, oh, geez, I don't know what's wrong with my arm. I just can't straighten it. So that's my distant vision getting weaker and weaker. So I'm losing range of my visual field because I'm stuck in one end of range.
That's a great analogy.
And so
it makes perfect sense.
So not only are you seeing my visual field, but you're seeing my bicep. Imagine if I went to gym, ladies and gentlemen. So when we're stuck in one, we lose that range, and that's why the importance is like we need to have a good range in our movement, and then we live between that range. So as you get less and less range, you still live between that. So therefore your function becomes less and less. So a big part of our work is expanding our range, our function, our movement, our zone of influence. Our zone of influence could be how we influence other people, but it's actually not. It's actually how far off my center of balance and my center can I reach, move up, down, left, right? Why would our eyes not be exactly the same? And it's like, I always want to go, oh, dude, how about this is so freaking obvious.
Well, that goes back to what we're saying, like, we're never going to get rid of problems, right? If you did, there would be no reason for innovation, trying new things, growing, getting better. So it's like that balance needs to occur too, where we're frustrated, upset, and confused and disappointed when we have problems. Meanwhile, there's so much benefit that comes from it. So it's like, we need that balance also. So the balance of
no problem,
things close up, balances
boredom.
That's right.
And boredom and depression, oh boy, are they similar.
Very similar.
And that is when you do less and less and less, that you just couldn't be bothered to do anything. And so it's literally that you've stopped expanding. And expanding doesn't always have to be in the same direction. You don't always have to get better and better in your career. You can get better and better in something. Let's say I said to you, Tim, how are you at writing poetry? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Probably closer to a 2.
Okay.
Being the lowest.
So imagine you decided, like for shits and giggles, you were going to expand your poetry writing to a 4. You would be feeding all your other systems as well, because through that going from a 2 to a 4 in poetry, you would be influencing your brain, your pathways, your whole neural system, your whole way of being, because it would teach you a different way of thinking, a different way of integrating words that may then help you solve problems better. But if you want to be a better problem solver, you might get stuck because you're following the protocols that problem solvers do, But instead, if we go, hang on, what if we go do something completely different? And we go learn there, and we watch how that floods over and integrates into everything that we do. You would
just think about your vision, like, okay, improving your vision, so it'll improve your vision will improve. But what other areas and aspects of your life, awareness, I think we probably won't even know all the benefits until you're off to the races and things are drastically improved.
Yeah,
not even drastically improved.
And it's and I think with a vision, it is such a big one. And we know that when we create a strong body in order to house the vision, that makes a big difference to the vision anyway. but we can be more specific. And you know what's interesting. So I'm a bit of a junkie, because when I get onto something, I can't help it. I play, I research, I go learn. And the other one, I think this study came from Germany. I think I was doing too much reading last night on it, without my reading glasses, obviously. It's kind of important. Is that when it was also quite a large group, they said, so when did you get glasses? And, or, you know, when did you first notice a problem with your eyes? And the question was, did any significant event happen around that time? And 80% of people could tell you a significant traumatic event. 8% of the people said, this is when I got my glasses. There was no significant event, but my father died, but my dog died. Oh, there was a car accident, and their brain couldn't put the two together. But they actually still wrote in the commentary, no, but this did happen. So they didn't see the connection. The other 80% saw it, like, oh, okay. So that means that on that study, 88% of people had visual changes linked to a significant event, which was negative, traumatic. And hearing that, my brain goes, well, hang on, our visual field work that we do is all about finding zones of weakness that are linked actually to past traumas and strengthening the body in those patterns so that it can move through the trauma. And suddenly because I'm now like asking different questions in different ways, I'm looking in different places for answers. And there's some very clever people out there doing some amazing things. And what we're doing is also very clever and very amazing. And if those ideas were brought together, you know, we might actually have two really cool ideas that create something even better together.
That's right.
But we don't know yet, because I'm still in my learning and integrating phase to see what I get out of it. And if what I get out of it is powerful and good, then I will share it. And that's how this works, always works. It's like, if I can't share what I don't have, so I have to do the work first.
That's right.
You know, and sometimes
this is cool, man.
It's wonderful.
I think I need to spend the rest of the day driving down a long stretch of highway.
No, go get something windy and challenging, a highway.
Not in Ohio, man. They don't have anything like that. I gotta head out of here. I gotta head out of here to get that kind of driving.
If you must.
Yeah, right.
Well, just go find a tall building and get permission to stand on top of it and look out. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think there's any of those in Ohio either.
You can just lie on your back and look up at the clouds and whatever else is out there. You know, there are all these possibilities, and I think it's amazing how we take these things for granted.
We do, yeah. That's awesome, man.
Cool, dude.